on, guys? It's Pat, and today we're playing Five Nights at Freddy's.
My name is Jacksepticeye, and welcome to Five Nights at Freddy.
Today we are playing the scariest game of all creation, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, bitch!
Five Nights at Freddy's. I saw a comment on this, so it made me think to myself, it's almost the spooky day known as Halloween, so perhaps let's think about 2014's favorite horror game. This game came from a random solo developer known as Scott Cawthon, who seemed to just pop out of nowhere. This story won't be about the lore of the game because, that's more for channels like Game Theory and the millions of videos that solved, or think they solved, the lore years back. But instead, let's look at why the game was so successful. Why Scott didn't just get lucky and strategically set himself up for success, and why the game was able to retain such a large community for so long. Anyway guys, I am Sheep Rampage, and let's take a dive into the mysterious blow-up of Five Nights at Freddy's. Scott Cawthon, a solo game developer, began his journey of modern video games with mobile games after a few PC titles, producing many small projects like There Is No Pause Button, the game that, funny enough, is his profile picture. I used to be a major Scott fan and played these games years back, and to be fair, they were actually pretty fun. Although as of now, they're unavailable pretty much everywhere and I can't find any place right now to get them back. But anyway, Scott found minimal success in these video games. The games never sold well, and they were actually heavily critiqued, lowering Scott's confidence to the point where he was just about to quit. To be more specific, Scott released the game titled Chipper & Sons Lumber Co., and Scott quite literally went under depression after releasing this game, as players claimed to be terrified of the game that was originally intended for kids, claiming this game of friendly characters designed by Scott portrayed haunting animatronics. I don't mean to be rude, but these criticisms weren't just uneducated haters. They were relatively accurate. Look at this game. It's genuinely horrifying. What kid would find this cute? Well, luckily Scott was far from stupid. He was depressed, sad, and unmotivated, but he still had the passion and work ethic to produce one more video game before he wanted to quit. He just needed a good idea. Oh wait, his models are scary, horrifying, animatronic monsters, they say? Well, sometimes you don't find success. Success finds you. And Scott had a video game pop into his head. What would happen if he used his natural, scary art style to his advantage and create a game quite literally built to be horrifying? This idea Scott thought of during his depression is what led him to start the production of Five Nights at Freddy's for the very first time. I would love to tell you the amazing story of how the game rose from nothing to something because of advertising or a new update or something, but it was pretty much an immediate success when the game was released in July, and well, everybody instantly fell in love with this game, especially since it was launched onto the Steam marketplace. However, something that is relatively hard to determine is who made Five Nights at Freddy's popular.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's, an indie horror game that
Markiplier. I know you guys are ready to go into the comments and tell me he wasn't the first because 10 million other channels did it, but I'm not talking about who did it first, I'm talking about who made it popular. Scott originally uploaded his own gameplay to his channel, followed by some smaller channels like Yummy Mash. However, these smaller channels hardly cracked a couple million views. But Markiplier's as of today has nearly 90 million views. That's all my channel views, but times 300 on one video. Mark started playing this game with no intention other than to keep up with his daily videos and user requests without knowing he was about to kickstart a new generation of horror. Five Nights at Freddy's ended up absolutely blowing up, growing a community that obviously nobody would have expected from the start. Five Nights at Freddy's began to release more and more games, sequel after sequel, along with mobile ports, spin-off games, books, and a rumored movie that's been canceled like 3 or 4 times. So the moment there was any success, Scott was ready to start pumping out loads and loads of content and finally reach the success that he had dreamed of on his final game. However, that's just a short little story that people in 2015 have probably told you like a million times. However, I'm not here to theorize or just explain the story. I'm here to take an extended look into why Five Nights at Freddy's blew up. The game obviously isn't what it once was in popularity, but it's hard to talk about the downfall when it literally was just with age. and Five Nights at Freddy's lasted longer than any game of its simplicity could. So let's focus on the upwards arrows. Five Nights at Freddy's screamed indie game. Developer Scott developed this game all by himself to the core, including even his own voice acting.
Hello? Hello? I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in on your first night.
The game had a rather complex way to play it, unlike my other 3 videos that I've done on games' success talking about how simple they are. But what allowed it to be so successful was the simplicity on the surface that just dragged you in and made you want to play it. The game didn't have a guide or anything to let the player know what to do besides the phone call at the very beginning of the game. All you knew when you first played was to avoid being jump scared. The first impression is a camera, 2 doors, and a view of these terrifying animatronic figures. And the natural assumption is to hide from these animatronics. But where do they come from? How do you keep them at bay? When is it close enough to shut the door? Because if done too early, the power could go out, leading to an inevitable jump scare. But obviously, there's tricks to each animatronic. For example, Bonnie only coming left side, Freddy coming while the camera is up, and Foxy coming when the camera is down. These little secrets to each animatronic leads to almost guaranteed jump scares as you begin to learn them. But what gives them so much value is that each jump scare is your own mistake. Something that the vast majority of indie games struggle with is cheap jump scares. Jump scares that are unavoidable, have no context, and are just built to make the player jump with no real horror value. A good example of this would be the Scary Maze game, where while playing the game, a random Exorcist image pops up and screams for no reason with no suspense out of nowhere. But Five Nights at Freddy's didn't do that, and you knew it was your fault if there was a jump scare, making it 10 times scarier and a more real experience for the player. It made you feel like you were actually in danger, and that monsters were after you. That suspense for those 5 nights didn't just make the jump scares much more sensible, but made them more fun and more motivating to keep playing. The game, though, it didn't end just after the 5th night. There was a 6th night, and even the 7th custom night, to where you could set the animatronics to be so hard Scott intended the mode to be impossible, which of course allowed for massive replayability. I remember spending hours in class on the phone app trying to beat this mode, and once I did, I don't remember ever yelling louder in my life than when I took that massive dub. The game is a lot of fun. It was replayable, and also Scott loved to give surprises. Scott had a unique and strategic way of building up hype by releasing a trailer, giving a release date, and then releasing the game days early. Scott, for a solo game developer, produced these games so fast that I don't even know how it was possible. The first game was released in very late July, and the second edition was in early November, 3rd in March, and 4th on the 1-year anniversary of the first one. That is literally 4 games, fully fledged games, by one just random solo developer. And a few of them were actually released extra early, allowing for the hype to skyrocket, as nobody was expecting to be able to play the game as early as it came out, and fled to the Steam marketplace to throw Scott their cash. But yeah, these games were cool and all, but why did people want every new series so fast? Well, the answer is simple. Secrets. Lots of secrets. Five Nights at Freddy's concept was never done before, but with games like this, people tend to play them, find the ending, and move on. But everybody made theories, replayed over it, and built massive fan bases around these games, whether it was for better or for worse. The reason for this was because there were so many secrets hidden into the game that casual players would misinterpret, but diehards can analyze that gave very tiny hints towards the unrevealed story. For example, the kids crying on the walls, Golden Freddy, or this letter notice about the health department closing the restaurant for lack of sanitation, and the most lore-based Easter egg of them all, the honk Freddy's nose makes when you touch it. All these Easter eggs give clues people tried to put together into a story. Along with these games, Easter eggs, however, are outside mysteries. Five Nights at Freddy's has a book series, giving absolute extreme depths into the lore of the game, providing hundreds of pages of lore for anybody to get their hands on. Along with that, Scott had a website known as Scott Games, and this website throughout its history is an Easter egg hunt, as it randomly is updated, and can reveal things like release dates by hiding them in a very, very dark picture where heavy editing is required to make them out. This extensive and in-depth lore is the main reason for the game's success. As we've seen with many of my other videos, the success of a game is almost completely determined by the community around it. And Scott must have known this, because allowing for theories to be made that all differentiate each other allowed for the game to have an infinite number of videos and posts made on it. Videos on these topics get tens of millions of views, and the occasional hundreds of millions. So constantly, hours of content about Five Nights at Freddy's was produced. What was the next game gonna be? Which games took place where? All these mysteries, and they still haven't been completely revealed, and they may never be revealed, but that adds to the mystery. I would spend hours trying to figure out what happened to this game in my younger days, and they were some of my favorite times. Annoying? Yes. Frustrating, of course, but the game lore was rather similar to an impossible to grasp on math problem. You could spend hours on it and still not know what to do and want to give up. But the feeling of finally figuring it out, the feeling of success when everything clicks, will be the best feeling ever. Well, until the game theorist figures out how to make everything sensible and Scott releases a new game that completely ruins everything he said. But maybe one day it'll all be figured out, and the story of Five Nights at Freddy's will be final and the book will close. A brand new entity into this game is coming this year to the brand new PS5, cracking Five Nights at Freddy's console debut, and it may help to the success of the series. As with most success stories, the games that succeed are the ones that are the most playable everywhere, and Scott making these games that seem impossible to make mobile come out on app stores definitely is something that helped with the long-term success of the game. What do you guys think about it in the comments below? What theory currently is the most sensible to you right now? It's depressing that Five Nights at Freddy's is slowly becoming one of those games we look back on instead of look forward to, but no matter what, if I live to be 10 million years old, this game will still hold a special place in my heart. If you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe for some more, and let me know some video ideas in the comments below to potentially end up in a future video. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out and happy Halloween.